whoever it was in your past, your brother, your sister, your father, your mother, that friend, your boss, and it could have just happened yesterday, whatever it was that took place that has left a scar, something that you have not been able to let go of, this pain is inside of you, and it has turned into a time bomb. It is ticking away inside your body, creating all kinds of havoc. The clock is set, but the time is unknown. It can go off at any moment. And it does. It explodes with an accident, with an unexpected illness, with road rage, with a destructive behavior seeming beyond your control. Even in truth, nothing is beyond your control. With losing a relationship that has taken you a lifetime to create. All these events, all these things are the result of something that has not yet been forgiven and that is still inside your psyche. Whether it has been done to you or whether it has something that you have done. And I keep repeating it, but this is so important, it bears repeating. Even if it appears that you have been a victim and not a perpetrator, even if it appears that you have nothing to forgive yourself for, it doesn't really matter, because regardless of what happened, we always blame ourselves first. We always look at what we could have done to have things happen differently. Even if we were a small child, even if we were a teenager and adolescent and had really no tools, no ways of handling the situation, we always blame ourselves for this and always keep replaying, reliving the scenarios, asking the same question, why did it happen to me? And that doesn't help anything. Why did it happen is the question that may be answered later. The first thing that has to be accepted is you're a human being. We're all human beings. Sometimes we do things we are not prepared for. Sometimes things happen to us we have not been prepared for. We, as human beings, can and will make mistakes. And for these mistakes, we can and have to be forgiven. And this is why I am talking about it right now. This is why understanding why forgiveness is so essential is really a critical piece if we are ever to be free from any emotional pain, if we're ever to find a way how to live free from it. So let us look at the two things that I've just mentioned. And they are two separate things. One of them is forgiving yourself, and another one is forgiving another. They are very different. And it is very important to always start with forgiving yourself first. Why? It just will make forgiving another flow much easier and happen much more elegantly. We always start with forgiving ourselves first. And to forgive ourselves, we must first learn to accept ourselves. I just mentioned it briefly a couple of minutes ago, and now I'm going to go into a little more detail. In most cultures, most of us are not taught to accept ourselves. So the very concept remains very foreign to most of us. And people treat others the way they treat themselves. So if we do not accept ourselves, if I do not accept me, if I do not know and live the very fact that making mistakes is what makes me human, and that I will now and then make them, then making mistakes remains unacceptable. Then I cannot forgive myself. then how can I forgive another for their mistakes? So I will just mention briefly several principles of self-acceptance that are very important to understand and to begin to live so that we can actually learn to forgive ourselves. And the first principle I already mentioned. I'm a human being, and as such I will make mistakes. I can and I will. I don't know how often, but now and then it will happen. And for these mistakes I can forgive myself and I can be forgiven. That is the first principle. And the second one is sometimes I can be prepared for life. And I am prepared for life, and sometimes I am not. You have acted in the way that had you been prepared, you would not have acted. And you regret this, you have made a mistake. This is a fact of life. This is something that will happen. And once you accept that, it makes accepting yourself and accepting the fact that you've made a mistake, did something you regret, more attainable, and makes forgiving yourself more attainable. It will eventually lead to treating others the same way. And another principle of self-acceptance is my needs and wants are important. This is something most of us don't know, because again, we have not been taught that. My needs and wants are important. I matter, even though they may not be the first priority. But though they're not the first priority, it doesn't mean they do not matter. They matter. I matter. I am important. I've written about it in The Power of the Possible, and among numerous emails that I have received from the readers, so many comment on this particular point of self-acceptance, saying that they have cried having read that for several days. When I first learned about this, I've cried, and I didn't even know why I was sobbing. I heard that I matter, and it shook me to the core. I didn't know that I thought I didn't matter. I simply never thought about it. I knew that everybody else mattered, my husband, my son, my family, my business, but I wasn't it selfish. And I am aware that some of you are listening to this and probably are shrugging, because to you it is self-evident. And if it is so, wonderful, congratulations. But sadly in our world, you are still a minority. The day will come when you will be a majority, but the day is not here yet. And this is why I'm talking about it.